It's that time of year again when the maple magic begins and runs, no pun intended, until Mother Nature decides it's time for spring. During that brief window of time, when the nights get cold enough and the days are warm enough, the sap in the maple trees across Vermont seek an escape into the sap bucket, and then the evaporator, to make the tasty maple syrupy toppings for pancakes and whatever else. Vermont produces over 50% of the country's maple syrup, more than any other state. There are more than 3,000 sugar houses across the state at last count. One of them is up at Merck Forest, at the top of Rupert Mountain. Its big Maple Open House Day is Saturday, March 23rd, when from 11 a.m. to 3 p.m., visitors can explore the sap house and learn about how maple syrup is made. But there are also other opportunities between now and April 13th, when the Merck Forest and Farmland Center offers maple meetups, when visitors can go on guided tours through part of their sugar bush and learn how it all happens, from the first tapping of a tree to the final boil. You get a biology lesson and a calorie-burning walk before the final stop at the sap house. It starts at the Visitor Center, where Elaine Santos and Mike Stock, two members of the Merck team, break it down.
At nighttime, the sap is flowing down back into the roots when it's really cold, and then during the day, there's like a vacuum inside of the tree, so it pulls the warm air pulls the sap all the way up to the top of the tree. And I might need Mike to fact check me, but the sap is providing energy to the tree and helping the leaves photosynthesize.
Is that one yours?
Okay.
That's just.
And would anyone like to tap it in?
There you go.
Do you want to do that?
Sure.
Okay.
Where?
Just tap it pretty lightly, like
Okay,
right there.
that's what I was more interested
Yeah.
about. Is
And
it's pretty much
good.
bottom out.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, thanks, Fred. Got our bucket. Cool. So then that's that, and then we'll come back in a few days, and see how much there is.
And how much do you get in a day usually?
Could
I'm
be
sure that
fall.
depends on
It
weather
all-
and
yeah,
everything,
it could
correct?
all depends on the weather.
So on average, let's say,
Say it was 28 degrees last night and full sun by 9 o'clock and broke loose, that would be full by 4 or 5.
no kidding.
Yeah, like drip, 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 drip,
Oh my
drip, drip, drip,
gosh.
drip.
That's amazing.
You can actually hear
it running
Yeah,
almost. Yeah,
yeah.
that's
the
awesome.
biggest thing with this style lid. See how it's got like a curve here? When they come, they're flat. And if that's flat, it touches the tap. It drips off here
down there
and
and
down
runs
on the
down.
ground, and you're like, "What happened?"
Right.
The trees are running like
Yeah,
crazy,
yeah,
but there's
they-
nothing. So you like grab it here,
then
and
you-
curl it, or you do it beforehand,
Right.
and then always look
to make sure it's not
to make
touching.
sure it's not touching.
Yeah,
We
that makes
learned that
sense.
the hard way.
I bet. I bet.
But there's more to making maple syrup than tapping a tree. Most sap today is gathered through tubing, which Mike Stock described.
So I always look at the line, go into line and out. Done. The reason you do the wings to the side is when you pull them out, it works better on the tubing. Set it in the hole. Hear it?
Yep.
And see how it doesn't go any further? Like you could really whale that and get it to go more. But you want to see on these tips, there's a little line. I hand these around so you guys can see them. You want to be able to see that line if you can help it. So what you've put in the tree is only this much. So the hole's that far. So the sap is filling that void and then coming out of the tap. So if you tap it in too far, you're missing where the flow is and essentially putting a cork in it. And then if it's all the way against the tree, you can't get the tool behind it to get it out. And it's harder for the tree to heal because you've drilled into the dead wood. So then that's all set. On to the next one.
Then finally, you wind up at the sap house, where the sap eventually completes its journey into syrup. It takes about 40 gallons of sap to make 1 gallon of syrup. There, we talk with John Schabel, another member of the Merck team.
Our Maple Open House is really our big weekend, and we can get up to 200 to 300, tops 400 people at those events. That's one of our more popular events. People really like like to see what's going on at the whole sap process and the sugaring process. So we have the sap houses open, and we'll have demonstrations right there, so they don't have to do that full hike that we just did. But we'll have the small backyard evaporator going, and give them, you know, the instructions on that and how that's done, and then walk them through and do tours of the boiling place and that.
So what's the forecast for the sap run this year? It's been kind of an odd winter, kind of warmer than usual.
It's been a crazy one. Especially this last week. It hasn't been real good, but this coming week it looks like the temps will be dipping down into freezing and then back up again. So we're hoping we'll get some good runs.
Maple meetups will be happening on March 6th, 21st, 28th, 30th, and April 4th, 6th, 11th, and 13th, along with the open house on March 23rd. Visit their website, merckforest.org/events, for the times of each. For the GNAT-TV News Project, I'm Andrew McKeever.